fare la nuova versione americana usando la grafica questa.
So I think now we will talk about hiring people to do things for you. I have hired people.
Is it something that you do?
Has anyone here hired anyone to do art or editing or layout? Yeah. It's a difficult thing. I found it to be difficult because so to start with, I didn't know. Yeah, that's great. Wow.
I think we'll talk about it.
It's a difficult thing. I didn't know how much to ask, to ask, because they don't say, very few people say, here's what you pay for me.
Yeah.
They'll want to know what you want from them, and then they'll want to know what you want to pay them.
Yeah. And it's easy to undersell, people undersell their skills, or they overprice. It's an odd dance.
And I also didn't know how many art pieces I would need, I didn't know a lot of these things, and I found out some of them by talking to people, but actually I found out most of them by finishing the book, I finished my book and I discovered what I needed of art and layout and editing, and I discovered that I could probably do my own layout and I'll be a lot happier. Even though Joshua did an amazing job, like I couldn't have done something, well, not this is not Joshua's, but the American version is amazing layout, but I know in the future I'll be a lot happier if I do that myself. I can't possibly do the art, so but I've learned what I need to do for the art. One thing I want to say with these services is I don't think that it's right to take them for free from people. I think that if you're going to get someone else to do art or editing or layout, you should pay them. You shouldn't promise to pay them later. Like you pay them as upfront.
Very personal for us.
It is.
Saying.
You should pay them as upfront as you possibly can, and if you're not sure that you can pay them, then you say that. Like the next time I do a game, when I approach an artist, I'm going to say, I'm going to try to get funding for this. If I can get funding at this level, these are the kind of art that I would want. I'm not going to ask you to do anything until I know if I have the money. Anyone else want to talk?
My little brother is a...
Oh, sì.
Una questione di assumere qualcuno per fare l'art, layout, questo qua. È un processo, capire esattamente cosa ti serve quando sei un autore soprattutto all'inizio è molto difficile, anche perché quello che succede nell'esperienza di Rob è che vai a chiedere a un illustratore e invece di risponderti quanto costa, ti fa delle domande su volta, quanti pezzi ti servono, quanto puoi pagarmi, e quindi in realtà però dopo la prima esperienza adesso sa bene o male quali sono le tempistiche, i requisiti, sa già dall'inizio bene o male quali saranno i pezzi da fare e così via. Anche sulla questione del layout, il layout dell'edizione originale di Gioventù Bruciata l'ha fatto Newman, è molto contento di quel layout lì, però ha imparato a sufficienza nel corso di questo processo da poterlo fare poi da solo per la prossima volta. Invece per altre cose, come appunto illustrazioni che sicuramente non è in grado di fare, la cosa che fa è porsi sempre il problema di quanti fondi ha, e in base a quello andare a chiedere agli illustratori il lavoro, essendo molto adesso su dire ok, posso pagarti tot per queste cose, senza dire poi quando potrò.
My little brother is a painter and illustrator. He works mostly on Legends of the Five Rings. He's done some magic. He started out in role-playing games. He's done some work for me. And he says, Vincent, you don't make bad contracts with your artists. He says, let me see those contracts. contracts, and before you give them to your artists, I will come to your house.
And we're very grateful.
We are.
Because he knows what a crappy contract treats the artists and others.
He's done work that he's never been paid for. He's done work that he never got the rights back for.
And we don't want to do this.
Which, by the way, I personally feel that when you buy art, you should let the artist use it however they want to. It should belong to them, and you license it for the purpose of your game. That's my feeling. Do you want to?
Okay. No, I don't know. Just so there was this.
Yeah, the last thing.
Yeah, but they were pointing out correctly that all these projects you've named, like Human Contact and Go, and I remember the name of the bourgeois Western fight units.
Far West.
Well, anyway, and they all were hugely successful. So that doesn't mean it's the case for everyone else.
Yeah.
Of this person, but they all gone like 7 times the quite of money they go, they set.
I have an insane opinion that I would like to share with
There's a thing she has to translate still?
No, well, it's the one on yes, maybe we did that.
Sure.
Okay, this is nuts, and it's going on the internet now. So look out. Okay. So far, here is how I've done it. This is time, and this is buzz, let's say. Buzz.
What's the other one?
Time. Here's how I've done it. I've done playtesting, build some buzz, publishing, build some buzz, conventions, people play, word of mouth, and the game goes like this over years. This is Dogs in the Vineyard set. Here is my opinion about, my theory about Kickstarter. Kickstarter has this buzz infrastructure, right? It has this machine of buzz. My opinion about Kickstarter is that you get something like this. There's the announcement, there's the week before it ends, and then there's that. And now you're depending on word of mouth and people playing your game and passing it along. You think my idea is bullshit? That's fine, that's good. And even if I'm right, I don't know which sale sells more.
You should compute in T-graph.
Say that again?
You should compute in T-graph, it's easy.
That's what I should do. This is my fear, and I'm about to try a Kickstarter, and then I'll have more information from my own experience. But so there's my nuts opinion. Thank you.
Why do you think it's?
Do you want to?
Il primo grafico proprio questo è proprio la sua esperienza editoriale di una pubblicazione tradizionale. Quindi le ordinate sono quanto le persone che parlano. All'inizio del testo, come fa la pubblicazione, recensioni, gente che parla, e così via. E quello è più o meno il grafico di Cani. Invece la sua opinione è che Kickstarter abbia questa botta di base iniziale e poi crolli, e poi da lì debba ricominciare con il gioco che abbiamo avuto dentro proprio. In realtà appunto eravamo assolutamente d'accordo e bisogna vedere che cosa succederà. Vincent stava per pubblicare in Kickstarter, è stato lanciato Kickstarter, quindi potrà avere anche dei dati per vedere cosa succede. Quale dei due vende più? Quale potrebbe?
I don't think it's true that buzz goes away for those games. It might not continue at that level, but nothing does. I still hear plenty about Doe. I still hear plenty about, but human contact. I still hear a lot about. I think especially the ones that get the highest lift are gonna, you know, they're gonna have the longest tail.
Okay.
I think that if you use Kickstarter for maybe if I use it and that's the first game I want to publish, it's going to work that way. Maybe if you do Kickstarter, or you of course, or you, or Joshua, or Ukraine, or they will have a different Kickstarter effect because
Yes.
it will not fall. It will kind of gently slow down eventually because it's different. It's not a real Kickstarter for you because you already published something. For a new designer or publisher, it's very different.
I don't think we know. I mean, I don't know of anybody who's tried this.
I'm just.
This is a very pretty line. I want
Possibly. Like with the way that Kickstarter is operating with now.
Yeah.
What I want to say is, okay, which is the time that you put we're beginning to see people use Kickstarter as a marketing tool instead of just a fundraising tool. And so if you have some other fundraising streams to fund your game, then you can do a short Kickstarter thing like for a week. Money on it? Here it is. Bam. And then you're down here, this build more like this.
That's, yeah.
Which I think could be
Sustainable.
really smart.
Oh, and also, I think that brief time, I have seen over and over again, we're giving people a brief amount of time to respond to something as a much better response.
Well, it's like your poster.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I have
You
4 days.
you kind of exploit instincts,
Yeah.
and it's like eBay, like when you do the
impulse buy. Yes.
yeah, impulse buy. That's
It's brand new or almost finished. There's a curve. Yeah. What's
I think that's it.
okay. But so let's do questions about this.
One more funding,
Ah.
which is your earlier games.
Yeah.
Having 5, 6 games, however many games I have, is
They
good.
fund the future.
It's
Yeah, and that's like Rob said at the beginning, like, you know, what it goes into, like I said at the beginning, do not take out loans.
Yeah.
Do not go into debt. You put this with your first, and some of you already know this, you know? Do what you can afford in the initial outlay, and then allow that. And we try very conscientiously to keep that money separate from our family household. In our publishing, it does mean that I'm running a publishing business out of the house, and we're both publishing games, and I'm doing fulfillment. And it does mean that I don't work out of the house since that first Kill Puppies for Satan. So that was 10 years ago. I quit.
But it is
It is a serious. This is an avenue that allows. I mean, I don't have to work out of the house because of that.
I own a very, very profitable small business.
Right. But we try to be clear where what is, you know, his regular day job that makes our life run, and what is the money that helps make sure the next books come out. Okay. 2 things I want to do. One is take questions on this part, and then la questione del Kickstarter. Ora ho fatto appunto la chiusura del discorso era che è stato come impulso iniziale, perché il principio di fondo secondo me è stato quello che è stato detto all'inizio, che non devi usare soldi tuoi. Ridurre il possibile spese e separare in maniera più netta possibile i conti personali, il lavoro, il lavoro e così via, dall'impresa dell'autore. Quindi fare molta attenzione a non fare le cose e fare in modo che ogni gioco possa finanziare iniziali successivi.
C'era anche l'aspetto di pubblicare l'altra cosa con il PDF, insomma.
Sì, quello era
esatto,
perché dopo questo si wants to do the PDF. Yeah? Okay.
I'm sorry, he wants to hear about the PDF.
Yeah, well, because I left it out because then.
Oh, did he repeat it though? Is it?
No, yeah,
Okay.
because I don't know if you still want to go into that.
Yeah.
I think I said it all. You can sell your books, you can fund your books based on
Quindi
it.
diciamo, terzo e ultimo modo di finanziare una pubblicazione è appunto quello della vendere una versione elettronica. In modo tale che dopo aver usato tot PDF ci possa essere, ci sono dei costi di produzione molto bassi ovviamente, perché non sono i costi di stampa, sono tutti gli altri, le illustrazioni, layout, fatto. Però venduta una certa numero di copie, allora ci sono dei fondi con cui si può andare alle stampa. L'obiettivo di tutto questo è non fare prestiti, assolutamente non usare soldi personali per pubblicare i giochi.
So now I think we have two things left. One is questions about this bit, and then we've just talked a lot about our games, our game design, and all these things, and you are all game designers, so we have an opportunity here to talk together. Some of us more successfully because we share a common language about some of the challenges that you're facing in this process, how you are solving them, all that great stuff. Stage by case as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So questions?
Back to my question. Well, the question is, we started to make indie games like do-it-yourself in a way. And previously, we started to introduce ourselves to an editor. We explain our game, we give him our ideas, and let's say, okay, let's publish it or not, and evaluate the work you have done and what to do with it. But it changed also how much the expectations about selling it, producing. So there is much more creative explosion, I think, about in the games. But still, economics are an important part in a way to explain it. Don't lose your mind. So two things about don't lose your mind, I think, are important. And the editor will do the evaluation about your work. We'll say, okay, where is my money? If I evaluate this project, is worth it or not. By yourself, you have to, in a way, to present yourself to the community. So, what is your first time you do this, your first edition? Of course, you are lovely. And the process of evaluation in indie, how does it work? How it works for you? That's the main questions, okay? So how you introduce it? Because of course we are about 10 years later, I suppose, than what has happened in the United States. The second question is, we are still in Italy in a situation where distribution is still a concern. Distribution of games is still a concern about me. Because of course you can buy it in the internet, of course you can buy it your PDF, but I think the market is so low in numbers with this part that we don't have this opportunity. I would say that most games, one of the more with biggest success, can sell here in this fair maybe 300-400 copies and then stop these revenues about maybe 1 year or 2 years later ending in 600 copies. That's the most you can do. So distribution is still a concern, and how do you distribute it in American comics shops or something like if it happens? And if not, does it happen, how the community can support distribution or something else? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I have answers to all
First question, let me answer about distribution. typically retailers only comes to me. My first game, I sold maybe, for sale, I sold maybe 30 to 50 copies that first year. I'm playing a very long game that is now beginning to pay off. I mean, it has always been in the black, but it's now beginning to amount to money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that part where it's paying, I can work from home. There's some lean years getting to this place where it's
Yeah.
Beh, allora, sostanzialmente il mercato italiano è talmente esiguo e le dimensioni sono tali per cui ci sono due temi fondamentali secondo me. Uno è la distribuzione di quello che riesce a utilizzare, perché è vero che si può vendere in internet, però i numeri sono talmente piccoli che anche insomma, se tu non entri anche in una fiera come questa e vende 400 copie quando le vende e magari fa ancora 200 in 2 o 3 anni di distribuzione, quello è tutto quello che tu puoi vendere se anche passi con un editore e con una certa presenza, quindi è ancora più problematico pensare di distribuire in un altro modo, eccetera, quindi c'è il tema della distribuzione, un tema che secondo me è importante. E l'altro discorso è che una volta noi ci si doveva presentare di fronte ad un editore e quindi affermarsi in qualche modo con la validità rispetto al suo giudizio dei nostri contenuti, però doveva credere nel nostro progetto e quindi poteva andare bene o non andare. C'è un altro aspetto allora quindi che come noi raggiungiamo la credibilità in una pubblicazione indie, nel senso che siccome noi dobbiamo comunque fare questo tipo di valutazione, la valutazione non è più verso un editore, è verso una comunità, in qualche modo bisogna presentarsi a questa comunità e riuscire ad affermarsi come designer in quella comunità se vogliamo poi avere un successo economico che almeno sia ritorno per la prossima pubblicazione.
Vincent ha iniziato a rispondere sulla questione della distribuzione, perché i suoi giochi non sono disponibili in distribuzione. E dici che la sua strategia a lungo termine è solo adesso, dopo 10 anni. Allora, l'attività è sempre stata in positivo, ma non è da te rosso, però è adesso che inizia a vedere che guadagni è una...
Io se posso contare la mia esperienza ho cambiato diametralmente le regole del gioco, nel senso che 6 anni fa ho preso un sistema di progetto demand, ho deciso su quello di costruire i miei progetti con la convinzione di continuare ogni anno a tirare fuori un prodotto. È una cosa suicida da questo punto di vista, per no marketing non riesco a farmi conoscere, gli editori hanno sempre guardato il prodotto, sì però insomma, io però alla fine mi trovo ad avere degli utenti, cominciano a venire, cominciano a comprare, è un lavoro eterno, cioè una cosa lunga, pesante, continua, personale, poi ci credono una serie di persone, però alla fine, tra virgolette, ho preferito in piccolo, perché senza mezzi, di fatto fare me stesso. Perché tanto non c'era, per il tipo di progetto che volevo, non c'era al momento, non c'è stato, l'editore mi ha detto sì, questa cosa per quello che è, quelli che ci sono stati o hanno cercato di usare dei contratti capestro, no? Tipo diritti autoriali diventano miei per le pubblicazioni successive, tutto quello che fu l'aggiunta di ruolo e veniamo a rimettere tua assurdità, io l'avevo ricevuto da scritto, quindi sono reali, alla fine del giorno è pazienza. La fortuna è che il feedback degli utenti è buono, è sempre stato positivo. Quando mi presentano il prodotto ho detto che bello, ci piace, continuiamo a giocarci. Allora uno con quello e con budget barato.
So his parallel experience in this is that he brought his design to publishers, said, yeah, okay, you can do this, but then we get the rights to follow it, or we get the rights to everything that's not the game, and things like that. So that's not what he wanted to do. So his idea was to commit to this constant publishing one book every year to keep on the engaged the audience, which started to come, and they were satisfied the game, and so they kept constantly. And this was allowed to do this with a very small budget.
Yeah. Good. Good.
That's fantastic.
Okay,
so it's very good.
Yeah.
It's very
How you would, that's impressive. It seems very difficult to me to keep to publish on a schedule.
Doing the day or more into that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to address some of your other questions. Being nobody in a game design scene happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to have
Trust yourself.
You trust yourself. You have to have the willingness to do. You have to be willing to do a couple of different things. One, like Vincent did, to say, I made this game. It's called Kill Puppies for Satan. Screw you up.
Go straight.
Yeah, exactly. The other way is to be like me, where, okay, I love people. I love meeting people, fabulous. I've never been nervous to speak to a room of strangers, to meet strangers, except for my first time in Germany. When these are all people Vincent knows, and what I like them. So you have to just have the courage to go, okay, like from the beginning, I'm putting my ideas and myself. Okay, just a second. Just a second. And then it's about finding your target audience. That my target audience with this game is not the same target audience, you know? And this ties back to something about small response, you know? Sometimes, if you've got a playtesting, well, here's my game about monkeys that live in the sea, and what? Mormon cowboys, teenage Mormon cowboys, you know. You say, and you put this before a broad audience, and you know, sometimes when you get a small response, you go, that's my money, you know, and you're okay with this, and you build on this from a place of, this is my market, and maybe, you know, you develop some following, and you know, you go to the conventions you can afford to go to, the ones that are okay, and we've done this in the past years, like, okay, we can afford this much gas, so we can go that many miles. If it's a convention within that many miles, we can go to, you know, seriously. So being nobody, I think is about having the courage to face that you're going to be nobody for a little bit. And then finding your target audience, and then doing this sort of thing where you're making connections. Because there will be people who, if they're people of worth, will say, oh, this idea, I like this. And will help say, oh, you know, do you guys want to come to America and be a guest of the convention? You know, and then you're like, or, do you want to come to Italy? Yeah. No, I felt this thing. Coming here, it's okay if I'm being too long, you need to translate. Maybe okay.
Della loro esperienza c'è questa, allora, prima di tutto ci vuole il coraggio di sapere che sarà questa è una cosa con cui riesco a fare, avere la forza di vedere per portare avanti queste cose, sapendo che è importante trovare quelle persone che sono fissate quel punto lì senza preoccuparsi troppo del avere poca risposta e così via, perché quando si presenta un pubblico molto vasto, soprattutto quando è proprio che prende una nicchia specifica, un anzo specifico, allora in quel caso quando si trova quel pubblico lì, quello è le persone con cui parlare, poi partecipare alle convention, conoscere le persone e così via. E uno parte sempre con nessuno, poi man mano fa questi incontri, conosce altre persone e si crea una rete.
I wanted to touch back to one more point about, you mentioned that it's about the Italian market for games being small. For us, it's expanding, right? Also, you said that in the last 10 years you've seen a change. And that's really true, maybe even broader, because the games that are designed are different, the technology is different, the ideas are different, the ways that we can fit them around our minds are different. We are, as an industry, as a culture of game designers and game players, figuring out how to work around video games and the internet and movies, and people have much more busy lives, and it will continue to adapt and shift. But again, back to the technology and the internet and people like Google and PDF publishing and email, it will be, because we'll find each other. And I think that there are enough people more interested in this, that as the world gets smaller thanks to the technology, our community and the people who are interested in our games is big.
L'impressione del mercato piccolo che abbiamo noi, l'hanno avuto anche loro, però loro stanno trovando un sempre più maggiore. Sicuramente questo mercato sta prendendo, anche perché nel corso degli ultimi 10 anni cosa sono quindi con l'interpretazione dell'internet diffusa e anche con delle necessità delle persone che stanno cambiando, sempre più impegnate, sempre più e la convenzione è un'altra cosa, con dei giochi, con i telefoni. Quindi man mano il commento della tecnologia implica il cambiamento dei giochi e è sua convinzione che col passare del tempo in realtà man mano che il mondo diventa sempre più piccolo sarà sempre più facile raggiungere persone interessate e che c'è un numero sufficiente adesso, diciamo per la nostra critica è già raggiunta per quello non abbiamo messo.
Do you have day cons or house cons that sort of jiffy con like things? Okay, all right. So my answers for how to expand your base go to other smaller cons than this, especially house cons or where you can start some 15, 30 people cons. Because if you're a game designer, then each one of them you're like a rock star, Not per se, but I mean like to the extent that like you occupy that space in their minds, Make new gamers. I think that's actually should be my first thing to say, because that's what I tell people when they want to play weird games and their friends don't like it because there isn't armor. I say, well, make new gamers, New other alternative venues, especially for games that have really interesting designs and look cool, are places like Julia Bonellimbo has a game about tentacle sex with octopuses and stuff, and demons and things. And okay, whatever. All right. And she approached a high-end like arty sex shop. I left a copy of my book in a tattoo parlor.
This goes right in libraries. This is in libraries in the teenage, young adult libraries all over Western Massachusetts.
And I would say podcasts, if you have them. Do you have Italian gaming podcasts?
We have iPhones.
Okay, well.
We have some.
Wow, just a little bit. The radio machines in Saudi India. So.
Yeah, and then like universe like that. Look, see how places to communicate.
Ok. Allora, i 4 consigli sono questi. Andare su convention, specialmente convention piccole, quelle o comunque correnti da appassionati e così via. Non credo che sappiate, alcuni esempi sono internoscono, insomma tutte le Etruscon, ma anche Torino, piuttosto che insomma come se ne fanno
Random gaming.
esatto, comunque come c'è in Italia se ne facciano forse di più, perché l'Italia è molto più piccola, quindi in realtà se ne fanno sicuramente tutti quanti. Esatto, there is many conventions we have as well. Because they're really small, so it's easier for people to travel.
That's wonderful.
Andare con autore, quindi diciamo un minimo di effetti, se vogliamo di status, no? Quindi uno che prima non era nessuno, ma come è più piccolo, è l'autore invitato così via. Creare nuovi giocatori, quindi quando arriva qualcuno e dice no, non so giocare, non ho mai giocato, non mi interessa la natura, oppure un altro sono gli amici che ti dicono no, ma se non mi interessa non si capisce poco, gente la natura, il gioco non mi interessa, allora prendi qualcun altro, una persona magari non ha mai giocato e crei un nuovo giocatore che aumenta la popolazione dei giocatori. Mirare in maniera molto attenta su degli ambiti che non vengono in genere usati, considerati, no? Quindi ad esempio esatto, come?
Creare nuovi generi.
Creare nuovi generi, andare in contaminazioni con degli ambienti che in genere non vengono usati. Mille la notte a volte Gioventù Bruciata l'ha lasciato in uno studio di giochi.
Questa piace una libreria anarchica.
I've got, you give us the sex shop, tattoo shop thing, you got that? Podcasts and internet reviews.
Sì, le trasmissioni via podcast, radio.
So we're a half an hour past our end time. So what we're going to do is we'll end this phase of the discussion here. And if you want to stay behind and talk about things you want to work out with a game that you're designing and you want help or you want to work with someone on it, that's or you want to show it off, that's I'm very eager to learn about your games. You can do that if you were here mostly just having a conversation, or if you need to go, you can do that. Thank you very much for those of you who are going. This was a